Delivery EA401. Good evening, EA401. Please be on standby and hold short of runway at JFK International Airport. An Eastern Airlines, Lockheed L1011 TriStar is preparing for departure. Request for departure to Miami International. We are ready for departure to Miami International. Eastern Airlines Flight 401 is a regular passenger flight from John F. Kennedy International Airport, New York, to Miami International in Florida. EA401. You are clear for takeoff. Cleared for takeoff. EA401. Thank you. 20 minutes after 9 p.m. Flight 401 is given the signal to depart. On board the flight is Captain Bob Loft, First Officer Albert John, Flight Engineer Don Repo, and off-duty pilot Angelo Donadeo. Including them are 13 crew members and 163 passengers. EA401 resume navigation to Miami International. We are resuming our navigation to Miami International. Around 1 hour into the flight, the plane is cruising at an altitude over 3,000 feet. The night sky is calm, the weather is clear. Flight 401 is then signaling to Miami International about their navigation to the airport. They say good night with no indications that this flight will go wrong, but little do they know this flight will be anything but. EA401, we are maintaining our flight level. Good night. Good night. But we need to start at the beginning. What is the L1011? In the late 1960s, there was a race for supremacy in the commercial aviation market. Boeing Engineering with their flagship 747 and McDonnell Douglas with their DC-10. Lockheed Martin wanted to capitalize on the commercial aviation market. They realized they could not make a 2- or 4-engine aircraft. A 2-engine plane would have limited range and could not go over large bodies of water. A quad-engine plane would be incredibly non-fuel efficient and there would not be a use for it in the long run. Lockheed Martin decided to go with a triple-engine plane like McDonnell Douglas with their DC-10. But unlike the DC-10, Lockheed Martin would need to design the TriStar with care and ingenuity. Lockheed began the development of the L1011 in 1966. The company focused on creating an aircraft that would be technologically superior to its competitors, with a particular emphasis on safety, fuel efficiency, and passenger comfort. The design philosophy included features like a wide-body fuselage for increased passenger capacity, advanced avionics systems, and an emphasis on a comfortable and quiet cabin. One distinctive aspect of the L1011's development was Lockheed's collaboration with Rolls-Royce for the RB211 engines. The TriStar was the first commercial aircraft to be powered by this high-bypass turbofan engine. The L1011 featured an innovative autopilot system, advanced navigation and avionics, and a unique anti-stall system. The aircraft was designed for ease of maintenance and featured a distinctive third engine mounted at the base of the vertical stabilizer, which was intended to provide better takeoff performance. The L1011 prototype made its first flight on November 16, 1970.
The L1011 fuselage represents the most extensive use of metal bonding in the industry. The TriStar's anti-corrosion duplex sealing process will maintain the natural bright look of its metal skin for more than 20 years.
The flight was successful, showcasing the aircraft's advanced features and capabilities. The L1011 received its certification from the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, in April 1972. Despite its technological prowess, the L1011 faced challenges in the market. Delays in development and production issues, coupled with the economic downturn in the early 1970s, led to increased costs and financial difficulties for Lockheed. The L1011 entered commercial service with Eastern Airlines in April 1972. It was praised for its advanced technology, quiet operation, and passenger comfort. December 29, 1972. It was approximately 9 p.m. in the evening. The massive 121-ton Eastern Airlines TriStar taxis to the runway to prepare to leave for Miami International in Florida. There are no complications with the plane. It was recently inspected by the airline's mechanics and technicians before the flight, finding no errors with the plane in the slightest. EA401, you are clear for takeoff. The plane would then climb to approximately 3,000 feet in the air before making a sharp turn to the direction of Miami International. Aloft would then signal to air traffic control that they would be on a navigation route to Miami International, reassuring air traffic control that this would be a smooth flight. But we need to understand how Eastern Airlines operated during the time, as it is important to this story. In the 1930s and 1940s, Eastern played a crucial role in developing the airline industry. It introduced new technologies, such as the first radio communication system for pilots during the time. The airline continued to expand its network, connecting major cities in the United States and the Caribbean. After World War II, Eastern Airlines experienced significant growth, aided by increased demand for air travel. Eastern became one of the big four domestic airlines in the United States, alongside American Airlines, United Airlines, and TWA. Not only that, but Eastern embraced the jet age in the 1960s, introducing jet aircraft like the Boeing 727 and DC-9 to its fleet. The airline played a crucial role in developing the Airbus A300, becoming the first US carrier to operate the wide-body twinjet. But it was not all great for Eastern Airlines. In the 1970s and 1980s, Eastern faced financial challenges and labor disputes. Frank Lorenzo, who acquired Eastern in 1986, implemented cost-cutting measures and clashed with labor unions. These challenges led to strikes and a decline in the airline's reputation. This was a very dangerous move by the company and would affect the airline in many ways. But the higher-ups thought that this would not be an issue. I mean, it is not like these issues would affect their highly praised and world-renowned TriStar jets, right? What you just heard was the last recording of the voice box of Eastern Airlines Flight 401 as it crashed into the cold and swampy Everglades near Miami International Airport. This all happened in the span of under 3 minutes and would not immediately be noticed by the air traffic control tower at Miami International. The ATC just heard the voice box go offline, but little do they know this was the start of a dangerous, tragic, and even supernatural pattern of events that would fall out as the result of this crash.
I almost got one. I'm reeling it in. And I got it. I'm having a great time, are you, man?
Yeah, dude, this is great.
Especially at night. I can hear everything out here. Alligators, snakes, and even beetles.
Yeah, even though it is dark as hell out here. Dude, I saw something orange in the corner of my eye.
What was it?
I don't know. It was around 5 miles away, I think.
You must be seeing things, Robert.
Let's just go investigate. We don't know what that was.
I will start up the airboat.
Oh, my God.
Robert, what is it?
Ray, we are at a plane crash site.
Please come help me before I drown.
Don't worry, we can save you.
We have to help him.
We need to help the other survivors.
The others?
There are just too many people, and not enough time, Robert.
We have to try our best.
30 minutes after our heroes arrived at the crash site, the Coast Guard arrived at the crash site, and they, Robert and Ray, would spend the night helping as many survivors as they could. In all, unfortunately, 99 of the 163 passengers and 8 of the 10 flight attendants perished. Of the cockpit crew, Don Repo survived the initial crash, along with Technical Officer Don Adeo, who was down in the electronics bay with Repo at the moment of impact. Unfortunately, Stockstill was killed on impact, while Captain Loft died in the wreckage of the flight deck before he could be transported to safety. Repo was evacuated to a hospital, but later died from his injuries. Don Adeo, the lone survivor of the 4 flight deck occupants, would later recover from his injuries. Now, what exactly caused the crash of Eastern Airlines Flight 401, you may ask? If you remember from earlier, in the 1970s and 1980s, Eastern faced financial challenges and labor disputes, meaning they had to cut costs. This crash was the result of a combination of multiple factors. The catalyst to this situation was the front landing gear light bulb being burned out. When the TriStar was on its final approach to Miami International, the nose landing gear was working just fine, but the light bulb was broken, and the pilots did not know that information. The second factor was human error. When the flight engineer Don Repo went into the lower bay of the El Tunmondo 11 to check the landing gear, one of the other pilots accidentally hit the autopilot lever from on to off. This made the plane start to descend at a gradual rate, and this caused the plane to crash. After the investigation, Eastern Airlines made every attempt to compensate survivors and families of the dead in the crash. Eastern Airlines would then make major revisions to their pilot training and anybody in the cockpit of any of their planes to make sure that this disaster would never happen again. But as I said earlier, this is not the end of the story for Flight 401. It was only just the beginning of a series of terrifying events that would follow. In the years following the crash, Eastern Airlines employees began to report strange occurrences that were nothing short of terrifying. Indeed, the aftermath of Flight 401's tragic descent was not confined to the physical world alone. A different kind of turbulence was brewing within the company, one that would send chills down the spines of those who dared to speak of it. Employees, from flight attendants to pilots, began to whisper of inexplicable happenings on their planes. Their testimonies were eerily similar, recounting spectral apparitions of the deceased crew members, Don Repo and Captain Loft, appearing on various flights. These spectral figures were not just fleeting images. They interacted with the crew, offered advice, and even averted potential disasters. Despite the mounting number of these uncanny reports, Eastern Airlines initially dismissed the claims. The company insisted that these were fabrications, a morbid consequence of the collective trauma experienced by the employees. Those brave enough to share their stories publicly faced severe consequences. They were either shown the exit door or referred to psychiatric evaluations. Yet these chilling accounts refused to dissipate. One such tale involved a flight engineer who, upon seeing a spectral figure in the galley, recognized it as Don Repo. The apparition warned him of a potential fire on the plane. Shaken, the engineer reported the incident, and a subsequent inspection revealed a serious issue with the plane's electrical system. A disaster was indeed imminent. Another account tells of a flight attendant who saw Captain Aloft sitting in the first-class cabin. When she approached him, he disappeared, leaving her and the nearby passengers in utter shock. These eerie tales left an indelible mark on Eastern Airlines, turning the Flight 401 crash into an enduring mystery that continues to baffle and intrigue us to this day. While the physical wreckage was cleared, the haunting aftermath lingers, a ghostly reminder of the tragic event and the lives it claimed. The paranormal events surrounding Eastern Airlines Flight 401 have left an indelible mark on the world of aviation, forever altering the way we perceive safety, protocol, and the unexplainable. As we delved into the eerie incidents experienced by the flight crew and passengers, it became evident that this tragic event transcended the boundaries of the tangible and ventured into the realm of the unexplained. The legacy of Flight 401 extends beyond the tragic crash itself, as the aviation industry was forced to confront the mystical and supernatural dimensions that were previously dismissed. Airlines, regulatory bodies, and aviation professionals had to reconsider their approach to cockpit distractions, crew communication, and the psychological well-being of those responsible for the safety of hundreds of passengers. The incident prompted a paradigm shift in aviation safety procedures, leading to the implementation of enhanced training programs focusing on crew resource management, stress management, and the importance of effective communication in the cockpit. Airlines began to acknowledge the psychological toll that such traumatic events could have on their personnel, prompting improvements in support systems and mental health resources for aviation professionals. Flight 401 became a catalyst for change, sparking a broader conversation about the impact of the unknown on aviation safety. While the paranormal occurrences remain a topic of fascination and debate, the lessons learned from this tragic event have undoubtedly shaped a safer and more comprehensive approach to air travel. As we reflect on the mysteries surrounding Eastern Airlines Flight 401, we are reminded that the quest for understanding and improvement continues to drive advancements in aviation, ensuring that the lessons of the past propel us towards a safer and more secure future in the skies.